Hi everyone, welcome to Rage Print. I'm Andy, and in this episode of the Mark III build, we're going to be working on the legs again. We're going to be adding the horseshoes, the booster covers, and the strut that goes inside the booster covers, and the ankle bracelet. And they'll all be magnetised, and then we'll put them on the body. So why don't you join me and see how we get on. These are all the pieces we need for the legs, or to go onto the legs, I should say. We have two ankles. So this is the one I showed in the previous episode. This is the other one. As you can see, it's still got the supports attached to it, and they do come off. We've got the two boost covers. These are the long ones I printed last episode. The short ones are still over there. I haven't actually yet printed the extension parts yet. I've got, make sure I get these the right way around. I have two sets of backing plates for the horseshoes. So for the R2 ones and the Ace ones, so white and blue. Despite the fact, I spilled my drink before I started filming. So despite the fact that the horseshoes are already painted, I'm not going to paint these beforehand because I intend to strip back the paint on the existing ones and repaint them. So I might as well paint the edges. It's only going to be this edge that needs painted anyway. Painted silver. The back plate doesn't matter too much. Anyway, yeah, so we've got the backing plates for the horseshoes. We've got the... still drink. We've got the stabilizer... I can't remember what this is actually called. I think it's a stabilizer nut, but basically it goes in the middle of the horseshoe and covers up the legs access point. And this clips over the top and then attaches to the leg. And we also have the hydraulic struts, so that's effectively silver. And this just needs cleaning up. And then we have the pegs for these, and we have the other pegs that go at the bottom of those. So these all need cleaning up. This one's already done to a degree, but it just needs to clean up the edges, take the yeah, where the brim's been on, that sort of thing. And then, as you can see under here, where the bridging's happened, essentially it would look like that when it's been printed. Will need cleaning up, although a lot of it's going to be hidden by the leg, by the foot itself. You know, the foot would be like that. It still will be slightly visible. Be like that. Still be slightly visible. So ideally I need to tidy this up before it gets painted. Other than that, it's just a case of cleaning off brims and yeah, doing that and tidying it up a bit. As you can see here, I had a bit of a lift. I'm not too worried about that. It can just be tidied up. And then yeah. So I'll get on with that. Oh, yeah, these things. So these are the built-in supports that Mike designed to go on the ankles. You got one there, and you got one inside there. When it gets removed, it looks like that. So to remove this one, I seem to remember I just did this. Need to just break away the interface layer. So you can use one of these, or you can go overboard and use a chisel. Pull the camera back a bit. That's better. There we go. So that's off. I'm not going to chuck that because I feel that can be used as a greebly somewhere on something completely different. Likewise, this is the support that came out the inside of the ankle. I feel like that could be something. I just don't know what. I'm loath to chuck it away because for one thing, it's quite a solid piece of plastic to bin. but it's such an interesting shape and design that could be something on another project. So those won't get binned. I'll probably never end up using them. If you're wondering where the other one went, I don't actually remember where it went. It fell off so long ago. I probably might have actually binned that one. Yeah, this one. Yeah, it's got the same problem as the other side. But that was the other ankle. So this one, I had to cut along here. Yeah, I had to cut along there a few times just to sort of break it away from the rest of the ankle. And at the bottom here as well. So I'd rather do that off camera where I can hold it better and keep an eye on things. Oh, the only other thing I've got to mention is got these as well. So that would sit like that on the ankle. This is all going horribly wrong. So that goes on there. And that goes there like that. And the rest of the leg will obviously be behind it. That's essentially how that goes. So yeah, I'm going to get on with cleaning this up, and then I will come back when I've cleaned all the rims and removed all the supports. I have literally spent the last 25 minutes trying to remove this. I've been cutting along on the interface edge here with a knife and there. Chisels. I ended up essentially hammering the chisel in to get it to go in properly. Sorry, to get it to come out. So it has damaged the edge. Luckily, that's all going to be hidden by this and the leg anyway. Saw that hidden by the leg, the ankle bracelet. But that's done. That was a pain. That was painful. So now I can do the rest. Right, I've gone through and removed all the bits of brim, as you can see there, and I've already clicked together. It just press fit together, but I will run some glue around it as well. I say press fit together. This is a slightly off, but yeah, that just press fits together. I'll do the same for the other three in a minute. The only thing I haven't done yet is actually giving it a good go with this. I think I'll do that as I come to each piece. I've spent a lot of time just removing the brim and cleaning up the edge with the deburring tool. So the next step is for me to tidy all that up. But I will just quickly push fit these together. And I'll put them all into piles so we won't get them mixed up. But I don't know if you can hear the rain. It's literally gone from blue skies to heavy rain. Lovely Easter we're going to have. Yeah, it needs a bit of cleaning up here. Okay. Need to push it through a tiny bit more. There we go. There we go. Slap it together. With a slight deburring on that. It's better. Right. And then put this bit on. just like that. And then, as I said, I'll just run a bit of EMA around the join marks. So let me just get the other two together before I drop more of them on the floor. I also clean up all the brim because I've got bits everywhere. That's why I'm not quite at the desk. I've got bits on the floor, I've got bits here, bits everywhere. So I'll get those together, clean that up, and then I'll come back. Right, that's all tidied up. And I'm just trying the fit of this ankle on this leg. And compared to the other leg on the last episode where I just slid in, this is quite tight. So I'm thinking this is the difference between grey filament and white filament. The white filament obviously spreads a bit more. I don't know. So what I'm doing quickly is I'm just sanding this edge down as much as I can because I want the ankle to slide in easily and come out again. He says this one's not going to come out now, is it? I need the ankle to be able to come out fairly easily because painting wise, but also this needs to go on first and this needs to be painted separately. So I need the ankle and the leg to come apart for painting, and then we'll go back together, and then the ankle will get glued into the leg last minute, probably with a shed load of glue. So yeah, at the moment I'm just giving this a good sand. I'd already sanded the other leg, which is probably why it's sizing there a bit easier. In fact, actually, let me try the other leg on this ankle, see what it's like. Because this is a mix of grey and white. So we know that slides in quite easily. Slides in a bit well, I can tell it's going to slide in a bit easier, but it's still quite tight. So it's definitely the white that's not causing the problem. The white needs more sanding away, so I'm going to give this a really good sand here. I might even get the mouse sander out when it stops raining and just sand around here, just enough so it slides in and out easily. Mouse sander around here. It's now lovely and smooth. I probably should have done the rest of the leg. And now it stops raining. And that does slide in. There we go. Slides in, and with a bit of there you go, it comes back apart. Nowhere near as easy as that one is, but it still comes apart. So that's the ankle ready. Now we need to clean this up a bit. It's got a lot of wisps. So the next step, what is the next step? I think if I keep the ankle on with this ankle bracelet, so I make sure that everything's lined up correctly. Yeah, I think that's what I'll do. Just wait for it doesn't fit. There we go. So there we go. So the ankle bracelet will be painted silver. Obviously, the leg will be painted white. And that does slide up and down, but we need that removable, hence why I haven't glued the leg in. So that's in like that. No room. Right. Next, I think is this bit, which is the... So that's just quite simply clips into there like that. And then you can see the 3 countersunk holes, they need to be on the top. And they match up with the 3 holes here. That should just push in, he says. Right. And we need to clean the edge up. In case you're wondering, I am going to sand everything properly. Probably right before I spray putty it. Just so I know that it goes together as it is, and then any sanding I do is just taking away layers that will then be replaced with paint. That's my thinking on it anyway. I know it went together before it got painted. Once I sand it, it should then go together, still go together with the paint, assuming I don't put too many layers of paint on. Because obviously each layer of paint you add is adding more thickness to the pieces, which then means they might not go back together. The ankle being the main one, everything else is just magnetised on. I suppose the ankle bracelet as well. Right, that should now fit. Okay. Ow. Downside, not sanding stuff. Things are still sharp. Right. Probably should clear my table off as well. Okay, so 3 holes, 3 holes. That pushes in like that. So I think what we do need to do is this bit needs to be glued together. And I also need to make sure, I don't think it really matters which way around this is, because I don't believe this is consistent. I think it's supposed to be up like that, but I'm going to double check it might even be like that. The problem is, well, the ones on my styrene joy come out all the time because they need to. So it always gets put back in wrong. So let's assume like that. So that would, those two pieces get glued together, and then the screw in would hold it into the leg, and that would stop the ability to push it that way. I still think there should be something here, but I can't find the thing to print. It might be in the V2 legs, but I haven't found it. But that, I imagine that would hold that in place. So there we go. We're getting there. So screw wide. Tell you what, let's take all the bits of the other leg off, because I'm going to build that off camera. Keep wondering, these are slightly different. 2 long holes, sorry, 2 wide spaced holes, 2 shorter spaced holes, 2 wide spaced holes, 2 shorter spaced holes, depending on which. That's the hydraulic strut, that's the buttons. So buttons front, buttons back. Need one for each. Looks better. We don't need those are the pegs. It's just a mess of resin. Right then, so let's think about how this goes together. That goes there. That goes... Interesting, so that needs to go in first, and that goes over the top. Okay, that's fine. And that holds, and then that is held out like that. And then this buttons front. This one. No, it would be this one because it's this way around. So these lines here, should fit in there, like that. And then let me get a horseshoe, sorry, without destroying everything else in the process. Right, this is the horseshoe for my alternate droid Ace. As I said in the last video, this is a 3-part horseshoe. You can just about see the join mark there and there. So same idea as this, as a top bit, 2 small pieces. They've been glued together. They were attached differently to the styrene joy, so I need to dig these magnets out. But that would go on like that. And that is the leg. Minus some greeblies like these bits under the horseshoes and these bits at the end. But these are the legs. So what do I need to do now? Well, first of all, dig these magnets out. And then glue this to that. Does it fit? Yes. Looks a little odd, but it fits. So, yeah, so I suppose the first thing I actually need to glue this bits together and then glue that to that. You have to scuff the paint up in order for the glue to work. Or I might choose epoxy at this point. But as long as those magnet holes line up, which they kind of do. Okay, I'll have to force it into position. But when the magnet holes line up, I'll drop a magnet through, and that will sit on, between both and glue together that way, and that'll hold that in place. And then when that goes in, the whole strength of the magnet will go click, click, and hold the thing together. Yeah. So my first job is to glue this bit together, then glue that to that. And as you saw, I've got 4 of these, so I need to take the ones off R2 and be glued onto the back of this, the back of the other blue one, and the back of the 2 white ones for the 4 of them. Yes, that's actually the other leg. Then working my way down, I need to install 2 magnets on there for that. And then here, we've got these 2 holes which correspond to these 2 holes, which lead us nicely to this. So we've got the 2 pegs, and 1 peg goes in like that, and the other peg goes in like that, and they don't line up. Also don't. Why do they line up? Interesting. How is that supposed to work? How is that supposed to work? Oh, there we go. And then that should. So the idea is the 2 pegs should slide in, and I imagine you glue 1 peg in. I have to double check the instructions on this because it's not clear, but I think magnets would be better, but I suppose they're going to be held in by that. So anyway, you've got the pegs that go here. They need cleaning up so they fit. They don't fit in that one at all. So pegs there, magnets there. The magnets are digging out for this side, screws in there, and then that's it. Oh, pegs there as well, yes. So we've got the little pegs here, which when sanded will go in there. Just like that. So 1 on each. Like that. Ooh. Oh no! And then they correspondingly fit into that hole very nicely. They're going to get glued in here, so they just slide onto that. I think the majority of work's been held with those 2 magnets, I believe. So those are my next steps. Yeah. So let's get these glued together, dig the magnets out, and put new magnets in across both parts on all 4 horseshoes, and then we can work our way down. I also need to try and work out what screws I need here. Just gluing these together, trying to keep them as flat as possible, which is harder on this side for obvious reasons because there's a little leg on the other side. So it's not the easiest things to glue. So that should stay level, and then do the same for, yeah, this is the other leg. Okay. Just that it doesn't feel flat, so I'm going to hold it like that for a few minutes. So those are dry. Taking these off R2. So with the original design on my styrene R2, it was this with these bits taken off, glued to the leg with little magnets there. In fact, you can see the little magnet there. Those little magnets were glued into there. These little magnets here, and the idea was that would then click like that. Wasn't strong enough, so I ended up putting countersinking screws through into the leg, which then also uses magnet points to attach. Countersinking screws into here, which are then used as magnet points to attach the degrees onto here as well. So, just seen that. It's chipping off. So, like the other one, like the blue set, you can see there's been only 3 parts. In fact, it's cracking there, and actually that's coming loose. So that'll need gluing back together, and it's going to need sanding as well because it's a mess basically on this side. That needs cutting off, and then this bit will be glued there with the magnet going all the way through and attached to the legs. So my next step is to clean these up just by sanding them, getting rid of whatever this is, and digging these magnets out. Right, I have sanded the back of these. This one was lacquered, so I've had to go a bit harder, but it should now give me enough of a surface to glue this onto. The R2 ones have never been lacquered, so it's just a straight paint job. It's probably what chips a bit easier. But again, that's been sanded back. I managed to dig the magnets out, and I have a nice pile of semi-useful magnets. I mean, they're still magnetic, they've just got bits of paint and glue on them. These were originally super glued in, which is why they're quite easy to get out. So my next step is I'm going to glue these backs onto here. And I've already lined them up, so I've got the right 4 holes, sorry, the 2 holes, 2 holes, and then 2 wider space holes and 2 wider space holes. And they are both the same one, so I know that they're together and they're together. I'll glue the backs on. I'm just going to use EMA. And I'm just going to glue those down, leave them for a few minutes, and then we'll epoxy the magnets in. I'm hoping that they'll line up okay. Because if I line these 2 up and that one up, this one's slightly off kilter. So I'm going to have to... I don't know if it's the horseshoes out of alignment. I mean, it is 7 years old. But if I push it, it goes into alignment. So I'm going to have to get the some clamps out and just clamp it into place, just so it doesn't move, because I need those magnet holes to be in line with each other. But once I've done that, all the other ones are in line, more or less. I should be able to get the magnets in there, I hope. If not, I'm going to be reprinting some horseshoes. So that's my job. This might take a while. I've used pretty much most of my working clamps just to hold this one down. Went down fairly easily. I've used the clamps to hold it in position over the magnet holes. And then as you can see, my EMA is now been marvellously tinted. You can see where I've run the EMA round the edges, and then clamp down around the edges and working my way around a bit. So this bit's fairly dry. Just to hold it down. So I'm going to leave that for a few more minutes, and then I'll work on the other blue one, and then I'll do the 2 R2 ones. Also, I had a look at these. So the idea behind these pegs is they get glued into both the body and both into the strut and the leg. So in which case, I don't want to glue this in until it's painted. So I'm going to leave these loose as they are. They come out, and to be fair, once they're clipped in and that's together, and then on the leg, it's very hard to move. It's not going anywhere. But when we get to final assembly, these won't change between the 2 different types of IDs of droid. So I'll just I'll run some glue around here to hold these 2 pegs in, and then run the glue again to slam it up against the leg, and that'll be done. So yeah, let this dry. Right, those are all glued on, and I've gone to put, obviously, I've gone to put the magnets in, and they were not sitting flush. So where we still had a bit of super glue in there and everything, I've just drilled them out very slightly with a 10mm drill bit. Just noticed that magnet is completely chipped. Yeah, drilled it out with a 10mm drill bit, and now I don't know how well that'll show on camera, but this bottom magnet is now sitting flush, or flush-ish, because I need to be able to push down as well. Some of them are quite tight, that's fine. So now it's just a case of resining them in, and in this case it's going to be X side down on all of them, because on the legs, as I showed last episode, I have X side up. So it's just same old thing as I did last week with the magnets in the leg. Just mix the resin up, put a bit in there, peel one off, dip it in, hold it in, make sure I'm wearing the rubber gloves, silicone gloves, and then we'll be good to go. But yeah, I'm just going to glue these in. Yeah, just a mix of the 2-part epoxy. Put the magnets in. Shouldn't take long to do. And I think what I'll do is I'll cut back when I've done these, and then check to make sure it locks onto the legs properly, and then we'll do the magnets for those as well. Done. Relatively simple. So I'm just leaving them all to dry now. I had to use a persuader to get some of them flat. Rubber mallet means it's not going to suddenly attach to the end of a hammer. Oh no. Oh no. Okay, putting these on top of each other might have been a bad idea. Right. Right. They all flat again? Yeah, you're flat. Yeah, yeah. You're flat. I need this magnet's gone skew if I need to pull it flat. Which means I need more magnets. You just know this is going to go horribly wrong, don't you? Right. No, that's not coming out. That's not coming out. Okay, I've got one magnet skew width. I'm hoping that's not going to be too much of an issue. So now I'm going to leave it to dry. I'm not going to move anything else. I'm not going to touch anything else. I'm going to leave that like that, a bit of a mess, because I'm not going to move the hammer. Yeah, just going to leave it, and then leave it to dry, and then we'll see how it looks tomorrow. Hopefully none of them are going to move. Most of them are floating on a bed of resin, which is fine. I don't mind. So the fact that might need to give them a bit of a sand as well to get rid of like resin drips. Let's leave it to dry. These are now dry, and I've just given them a quick sand to get rid of the leftover, sort of the drips of resin. So, moment of truth. Will it attach to a leg? So let's find out. I'm ignoring the buttons front, buttons rear thing for this. It's just to find out if it actually works. Oh, that's oh. Right, ignore the rattling. That's these little black inserts. Take a fair bit of. So that one's okay. Check this one. Ooh, lovely clank there as well. And again, that's a fair bit of... Okay. So, a bit of... Oh, actually, good point. If I'm trying to lift R2 off this... Not sure how I'd want to try and lift R2 with my hands under there. But... for a quick lift over a curb or something. Alright, last one. This one's a little bit wobbly for some reason. But again, snapped 2. Cool. Alright, I'm happy with that. So let's go to the side. Back and go back down here. You notice the ankle's fallen off. So the next step, and I will sit back down. Next step is to pop the magnets in here. So same way around again. I need the EX facing down into it. And there's a magnet there and a magnet there. So just 4 magnets. And they should click onto the legs. And then I'll put everything that we've got together so far. And then, well, actually, no, these will have to dry. Yeah, and then we'll click them all together and see how the legs look. As you can see, they're glued in. There's just a little bit of epoxy. And just put the epoxy in, push the magnet down, wipe off the excess. Wearing the black gloves. I'm just going to leave that to set now. I usually leave it overnight just because this top layer of epoxy where I've wiped it is still sticky. And it takes a while to dry. And then I'll give it a quick sand afterwards with that. And then it should attach onto here. Hopefully. The only other thing to mention is, while I'm thinking about it, is print settings. In all cases, apart from these particular ones, I have printed everything as per Michael's instructions. So 3 or 4 walls on non-structural things, 6 walls on more structural things, and the infill varying between 15 to 20% depending on what it is. All I can say is read the instructions. He does state which components need to be printed at a higher print setting and infill. The only deviation I have done, and I mentioned this in the last episode, or did I mention it in the last episode? If I didn't, I should have, are the ankles, which I printed at a lot heavier infill and a lot more walls. I think it ended up being about 8 or 9 walls and nearly 30% infill. And that's just so. Just reach down, grab one. Good job, this one keeps falling off. Just so, this circle here is just thick with walls, and it's going to take an awful long time to wear away or break away. This is heavy. This is nearly 1 kilo of filament, including the support structure parts. But yeah, as many walls as possible. My friend Doug did so many walls that actually these 2 parts, the bottom here and the bottom of this ring, actually joined up. Might be a little excessive, but I don't think Doug's ankles are going to break it anytime soon. Yeah, so apart from these, everything is printed at the settings recommended on Michael's instructions. These weren't, and that's because I wasn't paying attention to the settings when I chucked into Cura, and I actually printed these at the body settings, which was 3 walls, 3 top and bottom layers, and 15% infill. So these are actually a lot heavier than they need to be. I think the instructions call for 3, 3, 3, and 10 infill, maybe even 12. So these are heavier than they need to be. They're not, don't get me wrong, they're not that heavy, but they're heavier than they need to be. And they're certainly heavier than the horseshoes. Yeah, so apart from this, I'm not doing anything special with the printing settings. Just leave it to dry. It's been overnight. These are dry. Things are not sticking to them. I've even sanded the excess resin off as well. It wasn't as bad as on the horseshoes. So let's see if they go on the legs okay. One leg. Right, that's the next thing I need to do. I need to get these screwed in. Okay, so I want... That's the other one. That's the other leg. So let's need one of these. So we've got the pegs in. So line. I turn this way around. You might be able to see a bit better. So I need to line these pegs up like that, and also hook it in under. There we go. So that's in. So bear in mind that is just pegged in. That's not being held in at all. Pegs. So let's put some. Right, I'm not going to put the pegs in purely because they will get lost inside there. The holes there are quite long. The holes there are short, but because they're not being glued in. And slide that in down like that, and we should hear a clunk. There's a clunk. That's good. Right, there we go. So we have a booster cover, a booster strut, and the ankle. Something I've just noticed. I also had a bit of warping around here, so I'm not sure the best way to fix that. God, that's very bad warping. Didn't look like that on the bed. I won't worry about that. I don't think there's a good way of fixing that because these need to be removable. Oh, something I should also point out is front and reverse on labelled on the legs. I made sure that the front and reverse. So front, reverse. I don't think there's actually a difference between these, but and we want buttons front. Buttons front. So here we go. There we go. So we saw this. All right. Here we go. One leg. So that's one leg. That's one. So, no way that's going to show up on camera. Forward and reverse. Yeah. Forward and reverse. Forward and reverse. Angle. Which hasn't worked. Why has that not worked? Okay. And a reassuring clunk. This one hasn't warped. Well, not as bad anyway. And buttons front. Get that's all locked in. And there. Another leg. Multicoloured leg. Right, 2 secs and I'll just show you something. Right, these are the old greebles for the styrene droid. These are resin by JD Parr. So on my old styrene, so you can see I put a magnet in there, quite a big magnet. On my old droids, these were screwed. You can see where the countersinks are, just about. These were screwed into the leg itself because the magnets weren't thick enough because I used those really thin magnets. So they were screwed in. But because they were screwed in, they also gave me a magnetic attachment point for these. So these go in like so. Ah. Right. That wasn't a problem on the other droid, so way around it goes. Let's say this way for now. So they go like that. Well, they should be flat, but they go like that. So my intention is, because I have the countersink screw still here, I'm going to get the same size, same diameter screw that was in there, which I think was M5, but really short ones, just to have something to magnetise it to, and then they'll just go click again. Again, these are the really thin magnets I was using before, so they can just click on there, they'll click on there, and that'll be fine. I can then pull these off and then put them onto the blue ones when I need to use them. With the proper badly build for these, I don't know how these get stuck on. If I'm honest, I think they just get glued on once they've been painted, because generally you're not going to be swapping them over, or if you are swapping over, you might have a second set of these things. I'm not going to be reprinting these because these are fine, so I'm going to be keeping these. And I'm just going to, yeah, I'll just put some screws in. There's nothing stopping you doing the same thing. You could put a screw in, a very short screw, as long as it doesn't go through the bottom part of the horse. Yeah, as long as it doesn't go through here and into the leg. And even then, would that matter? No, it wouldn't matter if it went through, because the underside of the leg is empty at that point. But, you know, it's going into a cavity. So if the screw was too long and went through, you'd be fine. So yeah, you could countersink and drill a hole through, and then put a screw through, and then, you know, just clicks in. Then, you know, just magnetise the back of it, and then that's fine. I mean, that's held up fine for years, just like that. Those ones especially. I had more trouble with getting these to stay on than those. We all knew that was going to happen, didn't we? So the only other bit I haven't talked about are these things. These are inserts. Now, I couldn't find these on the files, but Loz, who of the Charity Droid fame, is also building his Mark III, and he found these, and I'm fairly sure he found them in the V2 folder. For the Tim Hebel. So the 232 mod exists in two places on the Patreon folder. There's the V2 astromech and the Mark III astromech. Loz accidentally started printing the V2 232 parts, of which these appear to be in there. They're not in the Mark III ones, even though fundamentally the leg is the same between V2 and V3. So he's printed these, he printed some extras for me, and if I just take this off carefully, lift it up, you can see the holes where the nuts come through, and they just, it's hard doing this sideways on camera. They just plug easily, it says, in here. There you go. So they just plug in there, and then they act as essentially a washer and something for the screw to abrade against that's not the leg. I know somebody asked me why I just didn't change the 232 and just put the M8 bolts going into the leg. Why did I use those printed inserts? And the simple answer is, well, two answers. One, I didn't think of that, and the second reason, when I did actually sit there and think about it, was, although it will take a while, the metal on the screws from repeated use of moving the leg back and forth will start to wear away the groove inside the 232 shoulder. It'll take a while, but it will happen, and also start abrading in here as well. So these bits, got another one handy. These bits, along with the inserts on the 232 mod, are designed to be replaceable. These get worn out, not the leg. So you just print new ones of these, pop them in, done. Rather than having your leg fail completely. So just something to bear in mind. So yeah, as I said, I think they're in the 232. Tim Hebel's 232 mod on the V2 astromech, but they will work on the V3 astromech. The only thing left to do now is I need to sort those screw holes out underneath the centre hub nut. I need to think about this. They're not mentioning instructions on how to attach them. They are already countersunk on the these come out. They're already countersunk, which implies a screw. So my thinking is there's supposed to be a small screw that goes through there. I don't know what size. It looks like it could be M3. It might even be a random wood screw. My concern is that, a bit like with these wearing out, or rather the screws wearing out the main holes over time, is that repeated unscrewing and rescrewing of these for taking the legs off and access to wiring, whatever stuff, will wear these holes out. I'm thinking that I will get some heat inserts and just pop some heat inserts under there, and then the screw goes through here and into the heat insert, and then that doesn't wear out. But that's my next thing to think about. Yeah, so that's the last thing I intend to do on the legs, is put those 3 screws in on each leg. Right, here we are. This is a voiceover, Andy, because look at me, blissfully unaware that my microphone is not recording, even though OBS is blatantly right in front of me. Anyway, at the moment, I'm talking about heatset inserts, and specifically these ones here. And these are M3 heatset inserts, but their actual size is 4mm by 6mm, so 6mm deep. I originally bought these to use on BB-8, but they weren't any good. Completely the wrong size. So the idea being that they're going to go through the part of the leg, and then the centre nut ring will screw down into it, giving it a bit more longevity. As you can see here, I'd already given it a quick go just to make sure the idea was going to work. And when the camera focuses on it, you can see that there's quite a nice big black gap on the left-hand side. And that's because where I pushed the heatset insert in, directly in, it's left a lot of plastic and also moved out of alignment with the hole. So I tried to push it back in. Luckily this one's actually okay, but what I'm going to do for the other 2 is I'm going to pre-drill the holes to make sure that I don't get as much extra plastic in there as possible. And if it doesn't work, which obviously it does because this is me from the future, then I will just use a normal M3 screw. So this is the heatset insert, and I'm going to pre-drill the hole to the lower end, which I'm trying to show you here, but the camera won't focus very well. So the heatset insert narrows at the bottom part, and so it's just about 3.5mm. So yeah, it's not going to show it very well. But yeah, basically I'm going to drill the hole down to 3.5mm, which will give something for the heatset insert to sit into. And then when I push down with the soldering iron, it will just sink down nicely and leave. There still will be some material left, but not as much as there was when I did that first one. So you can see here I've actually given it another try with that pre-drilling, and it has worked. It was still out of alignment, so for the next ones I intend to use a countersink on top of. So I used a 3.5mm drill, and I went down about that far on the first one, on the one on this leg, but I'm going to go down further, probably to about halfway down the drill bit itself. Yeah, it's me trying to show you how far I should have drilled down. I went down further than that even. Yeah, what I will do is use a countersink to... I think this is part where I fix the audio. Right, so in which case I'm going to hand back to past me, and then we can carry on from there. It's not going well today. Right, try it again. Yeah, I should really go for the whole depth of the... It's not focusing. The whole depth of the heatset insert, and I didn't. So when I pushed heatset in, there was still a bit of plastic coming up and sitting on the inside. Luckily, because it's still molten, I could push down with this a bit, and then I forced a screw in and quickly got it out before the screw got stuck to the plastic, but it then flattened that plastic down, and now that screws in. It was very, very slightly off, as in the alignment. It's very, very, this isn't a show on camera, it's very, very slightly off compared to the other two holes. I'm not worried. I'm just not worried. So I'm going to do the other two. Drill out with the drill. Put the heat sets in. Oh, that was a good point. When I drilled that out and then put the heat set against it, it was still not quite enough to have something to rest against. So I think what I might also do is slightly countersink it, very, very slightly, just enough so it has something for the heat set to rest against, that when I push down it doesn't then just do this. Exaggeration, but that's what it was doing, which is why that one was slightly offset. So that's going to be my plan. What I'm using is this. This is a heat set insert adapter for a soldering iron, and they come in a pack of 3. Various sizes of heat sets, and as you can see, the various thicknesses as well. It's brass, so brass. Yeah, it's brass. So it heats up quickly, and all you do is just push it against the top of the heat set, and you don't. In fact, tell you what, I'll drill the hole out and I'll show you. That would be easier. There we go. There should be less material there. I countersink it, wasn't I? Countersinking bit. Just a tiny bit. I know I have a heat set here somewhere. If anybody ever thinks I'm organised, that's better. That's now resting in the hole rather than sort of slightly on the edge of the hole. In fact, just to be sure. Shows people watching this video right now going, there's a much better way of doing this. If there is, tell me. Seriously, tell me. Right. So, see the heat set? You can see the hole I've drilled. And a very slight countersink. The heat set is just placed in the hole. That's now resting in the hole that I want. My soldering iron is turned on, and apologies for hands in the way, but I'm going to try and do it like this. You just press, hold it up against the edge, and you don't press down. Let the plastic heat up, and as you can see, I'm not pressing down, it's sinking itself. All I'm doing is making sure, so I probably am pressing down a little bit, and just making sure that the top of the adapter is touching the heat set. I'm just pushing down, and I'm not even pushing, just letting it sink in just below, slightly below the edge, and then let go. Palette knife. That's to flatten it out. Yeah, it's probably my best one yet. So now, if we get a screw, yeah, me drilling further has helped. There's no bits of plastic bubbling up in there. So if we just put the screw in, that's great. Okay, that's going in. I probably would advise leaving it to cool slightly more before. I mean, that does feel cool, but obviously the plastic around it is heated up. So just slightly let it cool slightly more. I am doing this quickly for camera, but all my other ones will be okay, right? And then there's one. As I said, these are M3x10 countersinks. Ooh, this one could be a problem. No, it's fine. Okay. That's 2. And it just means with the heat sets that repeated unscrewing and screwing isn't going to damage the plastic itself, which would eventually wear away. So do these. That's what I find that the heat sets are now spinning in place. In which case, I don't know what I'm going to do about this. Okay. No, they look fine. They look fine. So I'm going to do that one, the other leg, and do the other leg as well. And then we're pretty much done for this episode. So I'm going to zoom back out. And I'll get on with the other 3 holes. Right, that's all 6 done. So I'm going to pop the hub on and check they line up, and they do. Drop the screws. That will forevermore being a pain in the neck. Right. There we go. So that's that one. I'll screw the other one back on in a minute. And then I think we're ready to attach this to the body. Okay, so here we go. Got those on. Right, and the first thing you'll notice is the magnetic parts are not on, and that's because most of the magnetic parts cover up these holes. Right, so I've taken the nuts off this leg, which will be this leg, because F, and then this is not going to go very well doing it one-handed, so excuse me a second. Right, there we go. So as I push the leg on, these washers popped off. That's perfectly fine. So all I've done is just I grabbed the bolt, held it in place while pushing the washer back on. I mean, admittedly, the body has been lifted up slightly because these are higher than the body. So now we're ready to put. I'm going to put another washer on, and then just pop that screw on. Try and pull it as tight as I can. The thing I'm finding with these hubs is that these M8 bolts are pushing back against the back wall. So when I take the hub off for painting, I'm going to put some hot glue in that hole behind here to stop it pushing back. That way I know when I tighten these up, I've actually got the full length of the bolt tightened up against the body, not, you know, there might be a bit of play left. Now I can't do this one-handed very well, so I'll cut back in a second. They're on. I think definitely making sure that the other side of the bolts are hot glued or somehow restrained in place. It'll make it a lot easier to tighten these up. Likewise, I'd love to be able to put wing nuts here, but there's just not enough room. So I suppose you could use a socket to tighten it up. Again, I just don't think there's enough room here. So I ended up resorting to a pair of pliers. So that's the leg on. I will do the other leg, so at least he's sort of stable, and then we can put the bits back on. Right, they're both on. As I suspected, it would be easier if these bolts weren't moving, because it's very hard to do this leg up. I think, I mean, to be fair, I should have thought of this before. It'd be easy to take the hub off the body and then attach it that way, so at least you've got the ability to press in against the bolts and push them against again. And you can do it flat as well. Yeah, be easier that way. So anyway, that's now on. Now let's put these bits on. So as I said, these ones don't matter too much because they're the same. Right, other one. So front and rear, front and rear. Bear in mind I haven't got the pins here at the moment, Something else I've also got to be careful of is this ankle's a lot loose and will just slip off. So when I move the droid around at the moment, that ankle's just like to fall off. Right, so that's the booster on. Buttons front. Sure that clicks in. There we go. That's one leg. And I will sort these out in a bit. Then other side. You can see where the parts are falling out in the cupboard and a mad scramble to find pieces. Okay, that's in. Pins would hold that in position better. Actually, to be fair, that warp's not as noticeable now. Go. There we go, I'm happy with that. God, you can see how off-white that R2 white is compared to white plastic. But yeah, I'm really pleased with that. So we have legs. Next step is going to be the centre foot, so we can keep it all level, and then we'll put the feet on below that, because if I put the feet on now, it'll be tipping forward. So the next step will be the centre ankle. But that's where we're going to leave it. Thank you very much for watching. I hope this is helpful. The heat set's entirely up to you. That's my personal preference. I feel it's going to add a bit more longevity to the droid without having to reprint the whole leg. But yeah, it's up to you. I just hope the rest of it is helpful. So yeah, there we go. I will see you on the next episode. Bye for now.